First time on this.
Good evening, everyone.
Somebody's got their YouTube on. So if you got
not me.
YouTube on,
Good
turn
evening.
the volume off. Somebody's got.
I think that was me. Sorry.
Major Tom.
Was it Tom? How many times have you done the show, Tom?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Animal Rights Show. We are here for one more episode on our Grassroots Activism series, and today I'm very excited because we have with us Nikos Bestas, who is not only a fellow activist, but someone that, whom I consider a friend. And he has done all kinds of activism from outreach to vigils to protests, anti-vivisection campaigns, farm occupation, everything. And he has done that in more than one country, actually in 4 different countries. And he's here with us to share his insights today. So welcome, Nikos.
Yes, welcome along.
Welcome, Nikos.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here. I am very honored to be with you guys. And
we'll soon change that. Don't you worry about that.
we will see. Yeah. By the end, we will know, right? But I'm really happy, and definitely, I also consider you my friend, Nella. We have done activism together as well. I'm really happy to be with you guys and to share some of the things or of my insights, as you said, on
That's a comment
activism.
about you, Tom. Oh no, wrong one. This one.
Wrong one.
And also today, have Jennifer with us. So
Hi,
Jennifer,
hello.
welcome
Yeah.
Yeah.
to the vegan songstress.
Hello, everyone. I'm here today. So hello.
Extra panelists. Because usually we're saying hello to you on the chat, Jennifer.
So who have we got in the house?
So let's say hello. Then we've got Jeremy Hess, Monsieur Hess, hello. And Jeremy also says, welcome, Nikos. Good morning, Deb. It's morning for Deb. Sorry, Deb, I did say good evening, but of course, for some of you, it is morning or afternoon, so morning. Hi, Laura. And we have Dave and Bernie. Amber says, "Hey up," from Maz, Amber, and Olive. And we've got Tissy, who says, hola. Hola, Tissy.
Hola, Tissy.
Hi. Hi, Ronnie Lee. Hi, everyone, he says. Hi, Gawain. And we've got Philip and Nina. I think that's everyone for now. Do say hello if you're here and you haven't said hello, and welcome.
Of Edo. That's in Essex, isn't it? Is that right?
Sounds great wherever it is.
It does. So we have a PowerPoint presentation today. If I can work out the technology, should come up on the screen. There. Oh, wow, about that. Okay, so Nikos, you've got lots to tell us about, and we've kind of got them into the right category, but there might be a bit of bouncing back. If you want to go back to any of the slides, that's not a problem. Just let me know.
Great. Yeah.
Okay.
Roger has got this down, Nikos. He has it down, so there won't be a problem.
I finally worked out how to do PowerPoint. That's all I'm doing.
Right. So let's start with that, maybe, because that is also a part of one of the things that we are kind of fighting for, and one of the, let's say, most effective that has the most results. It was like an undercover investigation that actually not done by me, but from one of the organizations that I love, and they actually, this is the story of a scandal in a slaughterhouse where they got undercover footage of how the animals are treated horribly, and the slaughterhouse ended up in closing, and actually people were charged by the police with animal abuse there. And this is what one of the things that were talked about, even, you know, like by people who were not vegans or in any way related to the animal rights. They were really talking, they were shocked about the images that they saw, and it made people think about maybe how we are treating those animals behind those.
Did you use the footage for outreach?
No, not this one. We didn't use this one. We are using footage, all sorts of footage. We are using footage from Swedish farms for outreach, but also from international footage, like, and I personally think that some people say local footage should not matter, and theoretically I agree with that. Like, the suffering of the animal is like the one animal's life is valuable equally to wherever it is in the world. But we also need to think, I think, what is more effective to the people you are talking to. And
so you're based in Stockholm, and most of the outreach events take place there. Do the people ask if the footage is from Sweden?
Definitely.
Does it matter? Yeah.
Definitely. Like, because they have such a high opinion of the welfare laws here in Sweden, they cannot believe that it is so. Of course, the result of the outreach should be, it doesn't matter even if they are not suffering, for me at least. It matters that we are, we are violating their rights to exist without any sort of oppression by humans, but to exist in a free life without any oppression from a human hand. But it gets the conversation starting. That's what I have noticed, that when people come and approach, one of the very first things they will say, it's not like that here in Sweden. No, it is. But then you direct the conversation to what you want it to go to.
Yeah, following up on what you just said, Nikos, in relation to people have got a high standard of welfare, and of course all the farmers around the world claim high welfare standards and everything. Yeah. Would you think then? I mean, would the group deliberately go for a conviction of slaughterhouse workers, or would that be something like a welfare group stepping in to do that? The Animal Equality, when it was based in Spain, they used to do undercover operations, and there used to be some convictions as a result, but they didn't do it. What happened was the equivalent of the RSPCA would step in and do that bit, but the actual animal rights people kind of didn't want to do it because it was a bit of a distraction. But so do you tend not to do that yourself, as it were?
No, so the closing of the slaughterhouse is definitely something we want, but the charging of individuals, I don't think it's the primary aim of these kind of incidents. Right. I think that closing a slaughterhouse, it is a big deal, and it also, like, it also gives a bit of motivation to do something as effective. But you know, I don't think that Grassroots Alliance, for instance, or any other, yes, they would like for people to be held accountable, but their main cause is to actually expose and reveal to the public the reality of the animals. And yeah.
Could I was just going to say, Deb has a question. Also, apologies that we didn't issue a content warning, folks, before a graphic image. And maybe if we have any other graphic ones, we might just warn people. I know some of us are quite sensitive, and maybe we might not leave them on the screen for that whole time.
We should have thought of that. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, because it's quite. I know some of us really struggle to look at those things, but yeah. So Deb has a question, Nikos. Is this type of footage shown on your mainstream television stations?
Yeah, actually, this specific footage was shown in the national television, and it was a big deal, like in the newspapers, and you know, like people I know, and they know that I'm an activist and a vegan. They were actually talking to me about it, and I was just telling them that's the way it is. But you know, like this specific footage was shown in the news, and actually in the past few months we have had other sorts of investigations from other groups who have done a great job, from Total Insyn, for instance, Total Transparency here in Stockholm as well, that they are also trying to expose other different farms and the way the animals live. And you know, so and actually we had another dairy farm closed down a few months back because of an investigation that was done up in the north of Sweden, I think. So yeah.
Right. So the next slide is not graphic, folks. So you'll be pleased to know. And here it is. So I think this is possibly notes from the laboratory. Is that right, Nikos? Yeah.
Yes.
So,
but Nikos, perhaps you could introduce us to the picture of the person behind you.
Yes. So
we have some context.
Exactly. So this is Hiena, this person here, and Hiena. This is her medical journal. Sorry. Hiena is one of the apes that are in the laboratory here in Karolinska Institute, and she has been there trapped in experiments over 10 years. She's 15 years old, and she actually had birthday on Saturday, and Grassroots Alliance, which is, by the way, the organization that that I absolutely love. It's translating into Animal Rights Alliance. I love them, and I'm really proud to be a part of them. We are doing a pressure campaign here for those 5 monkeys. They are the same age. They came at the same about time from Netherlands, I think, and they were bred in a Chinese breeder, and they have never been outside. They were bred just for that. They have spent all their lives in captivity and in experiments. What you see on your screen is a part of the medical journals, where they keep track, you know, like when they do something to her and they write it down to keep track of the reactions or whatever. As you can see here, they have all tattooed the IDs that they have given them, but they also have names. What we want as Animal Rights Alliance or Juris-Allianzen, is that they let them retire into a sanctuary. We have already talked to a sanctuary that is willing to take all 5 of them and let them spend the last years of their lives with a bit of, not being in a cage and a shred of dignity and decency in life.
So when you have these protests outside the laboratory, which is quite often from what I understand, how do bypassers react? Are they sympathetic to the cause, or they think that?
A lot of them are very sympathetic, especially because they're primates and they react to that. Like, I remember a girl saying was shocked and she could not believe that they have primates and they use them in experiments, and she specifically said the stupid Karolinska. So they are very sympathetic. Actually, a lot of people are very sympathetic to the cause, but of course, you also get into discussions with some of the people who work there and who are researchers, and they try to defend what they are doing, and they try to present their own, let's say, point of view to us. We have had discussions with them as well. We are, of course, advocating for stopping all of the animal experimentation, but this specific campaign is against primate experimentation, and specifically we want to retire these 5 monkeys to a sanctuary to live out whatever is left of their lives in a better life.
And these medical journals, you told us that are public documents.
Yeah, so that is one of the things that we are doing. So this is the picture here is we went in front of the laboratory and we were taking pictures. It is Christmas, so we had a monkey suit on and, Santa Claus, and the sign reads, "No good Christmas for the apes." So we try to also get the public to pressure Karolinska, and those journals are public documents, and that's what I wanted to say, that behind the whole demos and the manifestations and the photo shoots, there is a lot of work on the background, finding out about those individuals who are trapped there, and trying to get the facts, trying to get their documents, trying to negotiate with the institution themselves to actually establish a communication channel that we can use so that we can achieve our goal.
Nikos, how have the discussions gone with the individuals based at that facility? Could you talk a bit about the sanctuary as well that maybe would hope to individuals?
Yeah, so the sanctuaries, so we already have a sanctuary that is committed to that, and they already know it, and they are, sometimes they don't respond, but we don't let them forget the issue. I know that when we were doing last year, I think it was springtime, I don't remember exactly when, but we started a 4-day campaign outside the institute, where we had like banners and activists and handing out leaflets, and the institute wrote those news in their intranet, and they were saying, animal rights activists, they are outside our institution for the apes, and they were trying to convince people that the apes are having a great time in their cages, which of course we know it's not true.
And Deb says, is the lab funded by government and taxpayers' money?
Yeah, partially because it is a university. So it is funded by taxpayer money as well.
One of the things that you did and I liked very much was that idea of asking kids all over Sweden
Yeah.
To actually draw apes and
Yes.
write a message and send them to the laboratory. And of course, I don't believe that the people in the laboratory are going to be moved by that. But this is a way to educate the next generation.
Exactly.
While doing a pressure campaign, and I love this combination of things.
Yes, and I reached out to my friends in Greece as well, and some of them were really happy to take up the task. And generally, I think it was a really nice task to draw the apes and say, can you free the apes, please, or the old ladies, or
Nikos, is there a difference between in how people view other animal testing and experiments for medical reasons and scientific research compared to, say, cosmetic testing and things like that? Do people have a very different reaction when you talk about those things?
Definitely. I think that this is actually not here in Sweden. People are not maybe aware that a lot of the companies also test for cosmetic products. So they think that because European Union banned it, as some companies, don't, or all the companies don't ban. So there is not this awareness. Of course, we know that this is not true. We know that companies that have to sell to China, or at least had to sell, and I think they have made a law about that. And in other countries, they had to test on animals. But there is a big discussion sometimes regarding, okay, if I want to save my, my grandpa or whoever, so I will not mind, to sacrifice, let's say, those animals' lives, definitely, yeah. So there is, but when you talk to them, sometimes about, cosmetics, they are definitely against it, or things that you would use in the kitchen, chemicals and stuff like that. Yeah.
So you're go vegans with humans here, Nikos.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So that was one really big demo. We sadly have not had such big demos because of COVID. It was one day, so there was again with Jure Jansen, one day after the vegan fair that was actually the last one that they organized. That is the central square in Stockholm, and because people from all over Sweden were coming already in Stockholm for the vegan fair. The day after, we had organized a very big static silent manifestation, and with a lot of activists just holding signs of animals in captivity, and basically saying the word to just go vegan, but in a silent manner. We had outreachers and people handing out leaflets. And in the end, the photographer there, he went in a tall building that overlooked this square, and there was a lot of coordination to make this happen. Like, you go here, you go left or right. But in the end, it was this was really good, and it also felt good. Like with the people there, they were also excited to do that. And yeah, that was a really fun time.
I think the N people are losing their discipline a bit there.
Yeah, and imagine they were the last to be put in the role, like, yeah. But it was nice.
Going back to vivisection, Jeremy asked
Yeah.
this question here. So there's a short film and it's called Save Ralph.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about it, or even have you seen it?
Save Ralph was the one with Ricky Gervais, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yes, I think it gives a very good. It is, of course, tries to raise awareness in a great way. I actually love that that film. Also, I love that Ricky is an advocate for the animals. Okay, he's not vegan, maybe, but he has.
I heard that he is now. I don't know for sure, but I did.
I hope he is.
I heard that he'd said something, but
yeah,
maybe wishful thinking.
Yeah, but he has some very good like posts about animals and maybe making people think. And also, there is another project that he has participated in. There is a project called For Life on Earth, I think, where I don't remember the name of the scientist who were challenging that is in the UK, were challenging the vivisectors to let's go public with the results of the research. And let's
was it Raymond Greek? Was it?
I couldn't tell you right now because his name totally slips my mind. I really don't remember, but it was really nice. Like there is a video where Ricky is actually interviewing that researcher who is a scientist.
Dr. Raymond Greek, I think.
Yeah. Yes, probably it is if you say so, Wendy. But I cannot remember it right now. And I think it's some very useful ideas there, like because that person said, okay, let's take your research, vivisectors, and let's take other scientists, and let's have your results peer reviewed publicly. And to see if it makes sense to continue using animals or not. And honestly, to be the way I see it, I think that animal experimentation is maybe the last of the things that we will fight for, because the others are much more easy to convince. They are more obvious. But I might be wrong, but that's just my gut feeling.
And Gary Francione line, no less. The related point here comes from the stats I have seen in the UK for how few animal studies end up even published, and are therefore for nothing at all, are tragic.
Yeah.
Do you have the sight of the stats for Sweden at all? Of course, they would claim that they could call it just pure research. So the idea that they're not published doesn't mean they would say that it's not, useless data, as it were. But we still be against it, obviously.
Yeah. So it is. I think one of the things that is we could pressure on maybe is to these statistics, the stats. That are not being shared, because I've heard also you can get the stats if it is a publicly funded research, but you need to get them. You need to assign a team to go through them, and and we are doing that, like not me, of course, because it takes people who really understand the research and the statistics. So, but that's why I'm saying there's a lot of work going in the background for, especially for vivisection, where you really need to dig into the details of the subjects. So yeah, and one of the things that is problematic is that what they find in some researches they don't share with other public universities or research facilities, so that they could, let's say, not make the same mistake.
Yeah, and this National Day of Protest coming up, so it's going to be similar to one that we did on the 24th of April, I believe that was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Gosh, is it really that long ago? And that was a great day of action, and activists came from all over and actually held events all over the UK and in European countries as well. I'm not sure, were there some in Ireland, Roger and Jennifer? I don't know if that happened in Ireland as well. It probably did, but it was a really great day, and I think they're trying to build on that momentum.
A couple of things, I think, yeah, if I remember right, yeah. Yeah.
It's also like kind of a very actual theme now with all the COVID research going on, and all the vaccines, and of course it's very hard to know that people, the animals have been tested, but it is like that with all the medicine. So it is really important, I think, that we pressure a bit more on the vivisection matter. We, in our glass walls events with Active Vegan Sweden, we actually do have vivisection footage, and actually it was very back in the day when I was with Anonymous for the Voiceless, like a woman was like starting just crying because she watched some vivisection footage, and it is very cruel to watch. You can actually see the suffering of those apes and mice and everything.
Oh, it's horrendous.
In relation to the picture we've got on the screen, we've got this one, which is quite interesting. So Nina says it was a great day. So you've got about 30 seconds to be able to identify exactly where she is on that picture. like where's Wally, I suppose? Where's Nina? Yeah.
Yeah, they're all there. They're all there because Nina was also helping out. I think there are a couple of people who were helping out, like Nina, TC. I don't know. I cannot see in the chat now who else is here, but they could probably remember that day. We were tired because we were also volunteering on the vegan fair, but that fatigue paid off so much. Everyone was like. So at least the vibe I got was like they were so really excited to be a part of this huge manifestation.
So Nikos, you mentioned there Anonymous for the Voiceless, and I know that you have a group called or you have a group called Activism.
Vegans.
Active Vegan Sweden, and you do events called Glass Walls, and I just wonder. What was your experience like with Anonymous for the Voiceless, and what made you kind of leave and co-found a different group?
All right, so Anonymous for the Voiceless has been, I think, for a lot of activists, an introduction to activism. I had done some activism before Anonymous for the Voiceless, but this what you would call street outreach events. Actually, my first event was Earthlings experience in Leicester Square, but then the one that I was like continuously going to volunteering was Anonymous for the Voiceless, and the event is really good. everybody was like everybody was really focused, and they were really it was an event that because it's easy to follow, to just come in. It's a peaceful event, and not some direct action or something like that. It's just an educational event, and everybody liked it, everybody loved it. But of course, after a year, I think, and some months, I became an organizer or a co-organizer for Anonymous here in Stockholm. But I just didn't want to continue with Anonymous for the Voiceless anymore, because I didn't feel comfortable with the way their leadership works, and some things that they have, like some of their attitudes. So I decided at that time that, okay, like I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to support this organization under that name, and I had decided back then that I will drop out of Anonymous. I talked a bit with the other guy who was co-organizing with me, and we agreed that yeah, let's also talk to the people, see how they feel about it. And we decided, okay, let's get out of Anonymous, and let's make our own grassroots group. We had the experience, we kept the good things of Anonymous, we added some things of our own, and here we are now with Active Vegan Sweden, and all this. We are doing these Glasswalls events, and I think
Well, Jeremy raises a related or a kind of point here. I think is the amount of people who quit activism after AV, and
yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether that's because AV burned them out, or whether the fact that it's a question of the fact that they don't know where else to go. I imagine that might be one of the things that Jeremy is saying here. And so presumably the people who want to kind of move on from AV, they need somewhere else, I suppose, at least that somewhere else to be visible. Because I know from the Irish experience, a lot of people in AV seem to think AV is the only thing. Yeah,
and that's a problem. And I would say the only thing is your own motivation. I don't think that any organization is like how motivated you are to help animals. But I can totally see Jeremy's point. I think that a lot of people were reluctant to leave AV. And I understand why they would think that, because in the beginning I was not certain myself. I just knew that whatever happens, my activism will not stop with AV. AV does not make us activists. We the activists make AV what it is. So I think a lot of people don't recognize that or don't realize that, and I think that many of them might even just take AV as it is, like it is the only thing that they can do. And to be honest, Anonymous for the Voiceless is also so much advertised by all the YouTubers, especially like everyone you look at, everyone, like it's AV. They have like the do Anonymous, do Cubes of the Truth, and I will not. I love the people who are the chapters in AV. I love the work they do, and they are committed, and I know that. But if you don't agree, I mean, I myself am like that. If I don't agree with some basic principles, then I will find another way to reach my goal. And the goal is to speak up for the animals. And I think, yeah.
the thing is that most people that left AV, especially organizers, they created something else. They founded another group, a grassroots group, and I wanted to talk about a little about the process, because it may seem daunting, but actually it's very easy, because at the end, what you need is what you know.
Exactly.
And maybe another couple of people to stand there with you.
Yeah, I think, Nella, you also know the process.
Yeah, I know the process.
So I think it's in some people's mind it might be a bit more like daunting, and I understand that people might have gotten funds from AV or whatever, and it might seem like, oh my goodness, like how can I get away from that? But it's not like that. All the hours in the streets, all the countless effort, all the energy, all the discussions, everything has made of each individual who volunteer for AV. Each one of them has made what AV is today. And I agree, they have a good structure, but it doesn't mean that you cannot create something that is like more grassroots, that is more adjusted to how you feel is more efficient for activism at the place you live. And there is no, even AV themselves say, yeah, you can use like all the like structure or whatever, just don't advertise after AV. Of course, we changed it a bit. We dropped the masks. We had blindfolds, as you know, Wendy. And
I remember the blindfolds.
Yeah,
Nikos.
you remember that.
Speaking of dropping, has Tom dropped?
As Tom's disappeared.
Oh no.
Also,
okay. Yeah.
Grumpy Vegan Grandad says he's late again. Are we giving detention to people who are late, folks? I think we are, aren't we? Danny.
No, that's that vegan teachers area.
Not ours.
I think Danny's going to have detention. You're going to have to stay behind, Danny, and that's
Right.
just the way it is.
He's going to do lines.
He's going to do his lines. Yes, I will not be late next week. I will not be late next week.
Well, one alternative, perhaps in some ways, to AV is meet the victims, which we're moving on to. So the next picture is, I wouldn't necessarily say graphic, but it is in an intensive unit, which is interesting really, because it's a very clean one, so it must be a new one, and so therefore it's interesting that the activists didn't necessarily kind of go for the welfare thing and go for the worst, which is interesting in itself, I think. So
yeah, that is the picture from within the farm that we occupied in Netherlands. I think that Sotiris was referring to all these images and all the tension and all the horrible smell and all the sorrow and the anger, frustration, like just to think what we are doing to those animals.
Nikos, you stayed there for how many hours? Because I remember it was a long time. I was watching
We stayed there for I think something like more than 10 hours. I remember we were getting out at 2 o'clock in the morning, and
you're not really getting out. You were all arrested.
We were getting out of the unit, but and actually we were being led. The police officers told us, we will drive you somewhere safe.
Nowhere safer than the prison, yes.
Somewhere very safe.
Exactly. To the safest place we could be, right? But yeah.
the media coverage was huge. I mean, it was
Yes.
covered from media outlets all over the world, like
Yeah. Yes.
in every continent.
And that's why I think I think that you know, like Roger talked about the correlation between Cube of Truth or Anonymous for the Voiceless and Meet the Victims. I think that sure, Anonymous for the Voiceless is using such kind of footage, but I think that this was more of a direct action. And by the way, this was 2 days after the this huge cube was organized in Amsterdam. So people all over the world had come, and 200 activists were left behind to do the Meet the Victims.
And some paid a bit of a price too.
Yeah, some paid a bit of a price. There was a lot of aggression from the farmers. They came straight away. And they totally destroyed cars, and you know, the police had to come and bring reinforcements from other cities to hold them back. And I remember, like most of the time, all the people were inside, but at some point the police closed off the doors. So that we could not breathe air, and one girl fainted. So me and her 2 friends, we took that girl out, and we were like, because you know, we asked the police, can you just please open, because the girl has passed out, like she has fainted, and they let the 3-4 of us out. And the ambulance came, and I saw the farmers. They were really, you know, like ready to come inside and, you know, probably be very, very violent against us. And they showed that to the cars. And then, you know, when we were sure that the girl was being taken care of by the ambulance and the doctors there, they asked us, do you want to stay out or go back in? And we all said, we will go back in.
I think that that decision to arrest the activists was one of the most ineffective things they could have done, because I remember all the footage, but what I remember most is the moment of the arrest. It actually took a lot of time to arrest all these people.
Yeah.
And they were arresting people that not only were standing there peacefully, but they were singing.
Yeah.
And I remember the constant chanting that kept for hours. And it was such a bad advertisement for the authorities.
Yes. And that singing that could be heard a bit inside, it was actually very crucial for some of, you know, like of the energy that you know, to know that there is somebody out there rooting for you, and you know, you're not alone in there, because it was really a lot of people, you know, and it was I would say it was a good coordinated event. But it was definitely one of the events that, you know, like has been the most effective one of the ones that I have been, you know, taking part of.
I remember that for the next week or so, the Dutch media interviewed activists, like
yes,
really,
actually,
really big networks. So that was like outreaching thousands of people at the same time.
Exactly. I remember two girls, no, one girl and another guy. They were on TV, and the person who was presenting the show on a very popular show, the person who was presenting the show asked on live national television, what is speciesism? So imagine like the introduction of that term to all these people who don't know what speciesism is, right? In a let's say progressive country where people, like fight for against racism and homophobia and stuff like that.
Sounds like it's really intense. And I think anything where you're in the presence of other animals, it's very different to, say, doing outreach. Even watching footage, even when you're in outreach and you're watching footage and you're seeing the footage and you kind of try and blank it out, or you might, if you're watching with someone because they're watching, you kind of somehow shut it out and desensitize yourself to it for as long as you can. But you can't do that when you're in the presence of real living individuals who are being oppressed. It really is so visceral and so emotional and so intense. It's very different type of activism, isn't it? It's like, I can understand why you feel, as well as the arrests and the size of the event and the media afterwards and everything like that, it's that emotional connection to it for the activists as well, isn't it? It's very
it's
very emotional experience.
It's overwhelming because you have all these different feelings overflowing all at once. I usually am very angry. It is like that anger that, let's say, fuels activism and motivates me, because I am angry because I know we can make a choice to, it's like, at least where I live and where most of us live, or a lot of us live, not most of us, as a society, we can make collectively a choice and say, actually, animals do matter, and not only some animals, but all animals matter. Their lives are valuable, and we should honor and respect those lives, and we should respect those animals.
Nikos, was there any after the event? Was there any support for the activists who were involved in that? Was there any?
Yes.
Anything organized, or was it just activists coming together as a collaboration? To support each other, because obviously it is a very emotional experience.
Sorry, finish. I thought you finished.
No, I was just asking if there was any support, because it's such a difficult.
There was a lot of support. Actually, all over the activist world, it was a lot of people, were reaching out, not personally to me, but to the other activists, and also there was an organized support group for the activists, and to cover financial costs, and to coordinate the legal procedures, because we were charged, and we still are charged technically. So a lot of support, and a lot of also emotional support, which was, I think, the most important aspect for a lot of people, to try to overcome what they lived. It was so it takes a toll on you, for sure.
Yeah.
But I have to say that it is really great to see those people who who are there and who support you, and who are there for the same, who understand maybe not exactly what you're going through, but can relate to what you're going through.
Speaking of going through things, we got a question about were you prosecuted, or were the charges dropped?
We were prosecuted. I'm responding to Deb now because I can actually read if I go close to the screen. We were prosecuted, and we are still charged. So we got convicted And we appealed, and now we are waiting for a new date for the next for the higher court, I guess.
No, you're waiting for them to reject your appeal. Yeah,
I
know.
Can you guys hear me, or I don't hear anyone else?
Okay, now,
Nico, were you also charged at the occupation in Belgium? The foie gras farm.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
We've got some technical issues now. Maybe when you move forward, maybe when Nikos moved forward, he pulled his mic out or something, maybe, or a speaker, headphones.
I cannot hear you anymore.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Is everybody okay?
But I cannot hear you.
Okay? Can people hear me?
I can hear you, Roger.
Yes.
Yep.
And I've messaged
I can hear
Nikos.
Nella.
Tom, do you want to speak to him?
Okay, that's interesting.
Can everyone hear me?
Oh,
Can hear you, Tom.
vaguely.
Okay.
Right. So,
Did I manage to mute everybody?
So I can still hear Nikos, but you can't hear us.
Oh, thank you.
Can you hear us, Nikos?
Okay.
I'll have to explain. I just messaged Nikos to say that you moved and something happened. I was texting him in Greece, and instead of you moved, I wrote you slept and something happened.
Dave can hear all of us, so
Yeah,
that's
the audio
important
seems
thing.
fine on my
okay,
part. It's just that I cannot hear you at all.
Oh no.
Let me.
Ronnie's got a suggestion. Just while Nikos is sorting out his audio, Ronnie says it would be good to see one of these shows on the subject of how to do the effective outreach with just 2 or 3 people, or as a single individual. And Jeremy says, fantastic idea. And I know Jeremy does quite a lot of that himself. He does a lot of single outreach.
Okay, so I'm gonna just drop out and come back in. Or
Okay.
Okay.
couldn't get my thumb in the camera then. And there's been quite a lot of chat about that, actually, talking about how to get people to organize locally. And I think it's probably been mentioned in the chat that one of the things that people love about going to the big events in big cities like AV is that there are a lot of people, there are a lot of activists there. You get the support, as people have mentioned. It's already organized. It's easy to just turn up, hold a laptop, or do a little bit of outreach and that kind of thing. And I think there's a lot of how do we get people to organize locally, maybe when they are on their own? Some people might be more suited to that. People who actually don't like to be with a lot of other people might be more suited, but then they might not then be the kind of people who like to outreach to lots of people, in the public. They might be quite shy or whatever it is. So I don't know what the answer is to that. It's quite a difficult one, isn't it? Because I can understand why people would sort of be drawn towards those bigger events in bigger cities and things. And how you get people to do it more locally is difficult. So that might be a really good thing to focus on, actually, and really look at the process of how to set things up. How to do a stall even. And I know Roger and Ronnie and I've done stalls in the past, not for a long time, but we could perhaps talk about stalls, what you could have on the stalls, just where to go. I know that Ronnie does a lot of kind of events like fairs, or if there's something going on, they will go and just set up a stall and talk to people there. It's not like a regular weekly thing, I don't believe. Ronnie, correct me if I'm wrong, but say VIP will be like a regular weekly for a few hours at the same spot, won't it, Roger? So there's different ways of doing it, and I think it'd be really good to maybe chat about that.
Yeah, 3 times a week.
3 times.
I can hear you now, by the way.
Do you remember that?
Great,
Do you remember that?
great.
Ted Rogers.
We're all back.
Yeah.
The next, we're coming up on the hour. In fact, we're just on the hour, so we'll have to speed up a little bit, folks. The next, the next one is possibly could be considered graphic. It's not too graphic, but I'm not really a very good judge of these things because I've basically seen just about everything you can think of seeing. So, but it's kind of, it could be graphic. So I'm just giving you that kind of warning. So.
And the occupation of the foie gras farm with animal resistance. So that was actually tied after we were in the court for Netherlands. We joined animal resistance, and we had a week of activism workshops, and the highlight, let's say, of that was to go and occupy foie gras farm in Belgium. I was not in with those activists that were inside, but I was on the support team outside, and there were some arrests there. As you can see, there was some there was quite a lot of coverage as well, because it's such a controversial subject, foie gras, isn't it? You know, they are force feeding the ducks and the birds.
I remember that this campaign was not framed as if I remember correctly, as a welfarist campaign. Like it was not about the conditions, but it was used by the activists to highlight the use of animals in general. So this was the starting point. But if I remember correctly, there were outreach events and other kind of demonstrations in the street to raise awareness.
Yes, and I think that Animal Resistance is an organization who was like has been also doing other sorts of things. Like they had set up at a point Animal Resistance University, when, you know, there were workshops and really interesting ones at that, so they have been doing a lot of work there at their end from Belgium, and so it was initially that occupation was the demand was, okay, stop foie gras farming now and stop selling foie gras, because the next day we also went to do a disruption at the supermarket where there was they were selling foie gras. So and this one,
is that one of the lost? Sorry, I was going to say, was that one of the lost foie gras? Farms in Belgium?
Yes, I think that was the last one in Belgium, and they had committed to close in 2025 or 27. I don't remember which date, which year. And it was, I think, the last ones. I think it was the last one in Belgium. And this picture here is from Sweden, when we wanted to blockade. We wanted to blockade to block the entrance of the slaughterhouse so that the trucks would not be able to enter. A lot of activists were there. Somehow, you know, the police knew that we were coming, and they were there early, very early, and we managed to like just delay a bit the trucks, but they knew about the action, and it was maybe one of the few times that the police have been really aggressive. Really aggressive. I mean, they have been aggressive towards us, or in all of the events that I have taken place, been a part of. They were pushing, and they were like really not cooperating. They were stealing our chains. so that we could not chain ourselves to the door. Yeah. And that is in a slaughterhouse that slaughters around 700 big animals every day. So those individuals are cows, sheep, all bigger animals.
Okay, and the next one is our most graphic picture, I'm afraid, people, so be careful about
it. Right, so yeah, that is I love metal. This, if you had shown that in the beginning, this could have easily turned into a metal discussion. But so one of the things that I noticed is, you know what, there is not like a dedicated place where metal and veganism are the sole focus of that place, of that platform. So me and a friend who is also a singer in black metal bands, and we thought, let's have a YouTube channel that will just talk about bands that have vegan members in them, or that talk about animal rights, or like about it has to be vegan in some way, and it has to be metal, and we will like either interview them or present their work, or we will make an episode out of that. We are very new. The channel is called Metal Vegan Head.
Vegan Head is one word for those who want to subscribe.
Yes. Exactly. And it is really fun.
We wouldn't want people not to be able to find the channel now, would we, folks?
Yeah.
Is Nikos frozen?
It's really fun, but we do it on our free time. So unfortunately, we cannot focus on that as much as we would like. It's like an amateur start, but it's to also keep veganism in focus, and because a lot of people also think that veganism and metal, they are they don't go together, but if you check out the channel, you will see that they absolutely go together.
Yes, indeed. I've checked forward, and there's nothing else graphic, so I can just leave it up now, folks. So that's pretty good. I think we're having a lot of technical problems today. I think it's the songstress's fault. This one's got our favourite word involved. So go ahead, Nikos. Defend this action. Go on.
Okay, so this is an action that I had the great joy of participating in, and this is a real grassroots action, and Nella was there as well. She was there in the action, and basically so a fair action, anti-fair action. The minister wanted to give out 3 million euros to mink farmers and farmers in general in Greece, in southern Greece. A lot of mink farms in Greece, and we actually went in there and we protested, and I had the great pleasure of hanging out a bit with Nella there. But also one thing that we hadn't planned, and we can think about in all our actions, is how to maybe make it a bit more effective. So in the beginning, we were standing just outside on the side of the road, but then some of us turned towards inside the actual ministry. It was a working day. and they closed the doors, but we were shouting at them. And some representative from the minister's office came down, and they promised that to some people there that they will have some time with
The thing is that
and I think they also had some calls.
yes, actually there's been a second protest after that. There's been appointments, and there was a team of activists that met with them. I liked very much the document we gave to them, because it was not just about fair. It mentioned animal exploitation in general. I'm afraid the outcome was not good, because the farmers got the money and the farms are still there.
Yes.
We'll have to try more.
Yeah, but like I think that
Nico, your connection.
this was for me a good actually take advantage. Is it? Do you guys?
No,
hear
it's
me
better.
now?
You keep freezing a little bit.
A little lot now. This is our most technically plagued show we've heard of, I think.
Yeah, lots of
Yeah.
technical. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe there's mercury somewhere in the atmosphere or something
Yeah.
weird.
I think that that day was an example of how you don't have to choose between kinds of activism, because we've been there protesting. It was a different kind of activism, and then we were outreaching too, because there were passerbys and the people working in the building, and
Definitely.
we didn't have to choose. We did both at the same time.
Yes, and that was like a very good example of people like being upset about that like 3 million euros in a Facebook group, and they said, okay, let's get together, and let's create a protest. So all you need is motivation and some will, and I think that you can figure it out going along.
So Nikos, something we were talking about just before the show, Jeremy's mentioned it here about the use of the language. So Jeremy says perhaps we could talk about the language of abuse versus use and the likely interpretations to a speciesist audience. And we did mention this before, didn't we? And you were saying about the banner, is that you borrowed it or something? Is that right?
Yes, it was a borrowed banner from because I've talked to the person who organized, like put together all this demonstration, and he was concerned about this too. But everything happened last minute, and we didn't have anything with us to cross the AB.
Yeah.
But it's a solid point, that one about the abuse.
Yes.
And actually, when you do cross out, when you have something that says abuse and then you cross out the AB, it's in some ways it's quite a good talking point, isn't it? Because people are like, well, why have you crossed out this? Then it gives a really good sort of catalyst to talk about why we're talking about use.
Cut it out and have a nice square in the middle of it. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it is important, and also I think it's important to lift the how speciesist our society is, and to talk about speciesism rather than like go vegan. Definitely yes, but to me, people going vegan is just an enabler to make our society anti-speciesist inherently. Like so. Yeah, you need to go vegan to live a vegan lifestyle, but what we want to achieve is not like an all vegan world, that everybody will say I'm vegan. We want to achieve, I mean, the way I see it at least, a society where all species have, equal respect, are equally respected, at least by humans. and of course, like that is going to take time and effort to shift such a mentality. But I think that we can start thinking about that. I think it's time to reach that level at some point.
A world where we don't even have to call ourselves vegan because we're just normal, because we don't oppress others.
Exactly.
Would be amazing.
Exactly. So you won't say I'm a vegan, but if you see someone, who eats like carcass or something like that, you would say, okay, that's something wrong with that guy. He's a carnist or something like that, So yeah, and.
So we've got a little series now. I think you call this Activism at Work. Is that right?
Yeah, it's activism at work. And I think that is one more subject that we don't talk much about. I think that a lot of people of us, we are employed, and maybe some of us are like actively engaging into some kind of activism, at least some kind of outreach or discussions at work. But maybe we, like some people are not, they have not even thought about it, or they don't want to disrupt their relationship with the colleagues. It is something that is very controversial at the place at work. If you don't bring cookies, so if you bring cookies, everyone is a friend, but and stuff. But if you just try to like do some sort of activism, I think you will find some kind of resistance towards that kind of
bring
activism.
cookies, because at heart, human beings are very simple creatures. If you feed them, they'll listen to you. What's the thing? I suppose the color one is that. Why vegan? Is it that one?
Which one?
The blue one.
The why vegan? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the black and white one?
So the black and white one. So when I bring cookie,
What's the translation? I think. What do you mean? What does it translate as?
The one says why vegan, and the other one is do you dare to see, and it is about Djurfabriken, which means animal industries in Sweden, and that is actually organized. I organized it in the World Vegan Day, so that is a good excuse to like establish communication about this with a lot of big audience. And I did it on the common break room of the whole floor, so everybody would come and they would discuss, and we would really have really great conversations actually, and a lot of people were interested in like learning more about this, and of course my mug animal ethics, which I love. And other sorts of activism at work or on the professional environment. So sometimes what you see there in the upper corner is in the upper left corner is my monitors. So okay, they used to have Anonymous for the Voiceless cards. Now they are not Anonymous for the Voiceless. But the other green one is Vegan und Manningen there, and also you can put in on the picture below, you can put when that was a meeting room, and I was in the meeting room having a whole day meeting, and on the glass outside I had like this paper where I just draw, you have been lied to, and watchdominion.com on YouTube, and that was also like a place where people would see it. So just out of curiosity, maybe someone actually went to check it out. And the one on the right is on a Google Summit. And because my work involves like a lot of computers, like technology, whatever. So I was in one of those summits, and they had these new technological advancements where you can write something on the monitor, and it will like stay there as something like. And I wrote like "Go vegan to save animals, the planet, and your health." And I was just sitting on the corner, just watching the reaction of the people. It was funny. Yeah.
It shows that there is a kind of activism for everyone.
Yeah, there is room if you want. I would say that you should know, especially at the workplace, you should know your limits, because there is, as I found out, there is such a thing as going a bit too far. That is, yeah, that is maybe my favorite incident, because there was this whiteboard, and again in a common area, and I wrote in that whiteboard, "Be fair, be vegan," and it was standing there for a couple of weeks, and then a very smart person wrote, "Be a fairy, be vegan." So just like because they wanted to be smart, but then if you see the green thing that says a lot of words, I explained to him that, you know, fairies are mystical and magical creatures, and that I was happy that he thought that vegans are magical and mythical, but they really are not, because he can meet one vegan if he looks on the other side of the board. So, but nobody looked. So yeah, that was nice. I really heard some people reading that out loud and laughing. So at least somebody was entertained. Yeah.
Got to admit, Nikos, that it doesn't take. It's not that kind of clever, is it, to change "be vegan" or "be fair, be vegan" to "be a fairy, be vegan"?
Yeah, no,
obviously. Was it intended as a homophobic comment?
It was homophobic. I was just being, you know, kind of.
You're taking it literally, yeah.
Yeah, but I took it literally, and you know, I think that you can respond to a lot of these situations by striking back with their own words. So he got a lesson about fairies. He or she, I don't know who wrote it.
And why not?
Yeah. And yeah, Active Vegan Sweden is the group that I am, like, I don't want to say co-founder. I feel that Active Vegan Sweden is more like of a collective group, but it was initiated after I left, or we left Anonymous for the Voiceless. We never had the mindset to stop doing activism for the animals or stop doing outreach events. And we just created a page on Facebook and created a group in that. And we kept doing the same sort of activism. We changed what we didn't like. We are more open to suggestions, not more open, we are open to suggestions, because Anonymous for the Voiceless were not open to any suggestions or any critique. We actually welcome suggestions, critiques, new ideas, because I think that a problem of this, sometimes a problem of our movement is we don't want to be criticized, but I think that if the criticism is honest and constructive, it can lead to better outcomes.
That comment by Ronnie.
Did you get any pushback about the title "Active"? Were, as it were, inactive vegans a little bit offended?
No, actually, active is a bit, you know, like a bit too broad. So if you see the requests for the group, people will say when one of the questions is how you want to be active, and they say, I want to like run more, so it is a bit too broad. Maybe we should have narrowed that down. We will see. Maybe we can change in the future.
And you're all over the global internet, I suppose. So where can people find this?
So there is a Facebook page called Active Vegan Sweden, as you see it, and there is, and if you want to like to join our group, there is an Active Vegan Sweden group where you will be asked some questions in Swedish and in English. So you can, if you want to join our demos, we have at least every other week one demo. And that is called Glass Walls, and it's the similar setting as the Cube of Truth, but it's not that strict in some ways. We use blindfolds. We don't use the Guy Fawkes masks, and it's been now with COVID. We have tried to keep like COVID restrictions, which in Sweden there are a few of them, but one of the restrictions was, okay, if you are to group, you can group up to 8 people, and I think now it is just lately that they hadn't removed those kind of restrictions.
Very good. So, what do you think, folks? A technically smooth show, as always.
Smooth as silk.
Yeah.
Of course, plant-based silk.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well,
Next week.
Go on.
Yes, yeah.
Are we doing the next week? Are we really tempting fate like that? Oh, go on then.
Just to kind of, seeing as we've had all kind of technical issues this time, it's guaranteed to have them next time now, because whenever we announce our next week guest panelist,
it never happens.
But Benny Malone has agreed to be with us, and he's on the same timeline, so that's useful, I suppose. And so if people have got this book, then he would welcome any questions, observations, comments about it, and in particular, presumably, about kind of how to use it, I think. This is a kind of user's guide, really, I think, from Benny. So, so I think going to be an interesting guest, just like this week, indeed. So,
yeah, thank you, Nikos. It's really interesting to hear so many different actions, because they're all like different. You know, you've got the outreach, you've got the disruptions, you've got the vigils, and you know, the kind of occupations, demonstrations, a bit of everything there. So thank you for sharing all that with us.
And thank you guys for giving me the chance to like have a really lovely chat. And just we didn't have time in the show. Just a shout out to Animal Rebellion Stockholm that we did not mention, that we are doing also a lot of work here, especially now with the pandemics and for the climate more. But you had Rose in the previous episode, which did amazing stuff with Animal Rebellion. So a shout out to Animal Rebellion Stockholm as well. But I would like to thank you so much for having me on and give the lovely discussion.
Thank you for joining us. I think we inspired a lot of people today. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you to everyone in the chat as well. Loads of comments and questions.
Particularly inspired Tom, because he's already gone to do stuff.
He couldn't wait. He's out there with his laptop on his own in the street.
All right, people. Thanks ever so much for tuning in. We shall see
thanks,
you,
Deb. Thanks, everyone.
Next week. And do check out Active Vegans in Sweden. And we shall see you again. Let's see if this technology works for the final part of the show.